welcome to this afternoon session. My name is András, or Andy, if you like, and I represent Malta here. It's a tiny, beautiful Mediterranean island that has never ever hosted an annual conference. So today I'm very jealous of Vilnius here, and to be honest, I get it. It's a lovely city. It's vibrant, it's green, and up until now, I didn't even have the argument about the weather. But luckily, the weather just changed for the worse. So yes, we have some advantage over Vilnius. And you might remember or know me from the TVD STP webinar series. A few years back, I used to host some episodes. And again, yesterday, this put me in an awkward situation where some of you recognized me from the screen, and I just didn't recognize you. And I hope after this session, it won't happen again. But just in case it happens, and to your friendly, welcoming gesture, I give you a bit of a confused face, please don't get offended. I promise I'm a nice guy. And for me, to moderate this session about knowledge valorization is an absolute pleasure. I'm sure by now, most of you, if not all of you, have heard of all the good work that the European Commission did in this field, like the guiding principles or the code of practices on smart intellectual asset management, or the Horizon Europe course that has a knowledge valorization element, and also all the related hub for IP. But hands up, who knows the difference between knowledge transfer and knowledge valorization? Because there is, at least on paper. And I wanted to, there's someone. Okay, I wanted to offer a drink on Anwar tonight in the Sky Bar for anyone who can tell the difference between knowledge transfer and knowledge valorization.
Do we always have to make money out of the research we're putting out? That's not an answer, it's a question to think about.
So we don't have a winner, sorry. I have to take the drink. But there are, and these are, it has a broader scope. It involves all RNI actors, and it covers all types of intellectual asset. And I was lucky enough to be part of the small team that drafted these guiding principles. And I don't know if you ever worked with the European Commission, but it's really difficult. Imagine 27 wives and husbands around the table trying to agree on anything. Like, okay, no cheating. That's a good one. We can all agree to that. But then comes a husband. Can you define cheating to me? So it was really tedious and hard work. But we managed to conclude something that was approved by the European Parliament, and it became a recommendation by the EC. And when we started telling other knowledge transfer professionals about it, what it is, and explained them, yes, what it is, they were like, so what? Isn't it what we've all been doing so far? Right, it is. And finally, the EU policy framework caught up with us, practitioners. And suddenly, the question changed into, now what? Because we have the updated EU policy framework, and we have all the amazing KT professionals. But what can we do to leverage this situation? And how can we create a true, meaningful change in our institutions, in the national innovation ecosystems, and also at regional cross-border level? And from an individual's perspective, it feels like trying to move mountains. Maybe you can relate to it. Me going to our rector and trying to convince him about anything in knowledge valorization. That's where David versus Goliath came from. And imagine me trying to stimulate a national change, trying to convince politicians. Wow. So it's not easy. And to be honest, there's more eyes on us, because the Draghi report mentions knowledge valorization as a way to increasing competitiveness. And also the Letter report mentions it. But there's hope. There's always hope. And that's why today we brought you 3 amazing guests who will share the stories of their initiatives that are bottom-up approach initiatives. And in some way or another, they challenge some taboos. Like, can we do knowledge valorization in science without patents? Does open innovation actually works? Or can we bring all R&I actors together to the same table, even cross-border, and have a constructive discussion? Do we have to choose between making social impact or making money? So our guests are going to briefly introduce their initiatives, after which we're going to have a nice, hopefully nice, and entertaining discussion. And in the last part, we'd like to invite all of you to discussion and let you ask the questions. And before we go into it, I have to tell you something, because I got a request from our speakers to emphasize that this session is not about promoting their initiatives. It's by far not. This session is about inspiring us all through those initiatives and by what can be achieved. And with that, our first speaker is Stine Skyum Kristensen, Senior Counsel. Thank you. Senior Counsel at the Open Innovation in Science Center at the Aarhus University. Stine, the floor is yours. Please welcome her.
And I need a microphone? Yeah? Okay. Well, I'm fully equipped now. Hello all, it's so nice to see you. I'm excited to share a bit of news about our initiative and how it started, and thank you for the introduction, Andres. Before we jump in, just wanting to say thank you to ASDP and to the organizing team and Karen Leiggaard, I don't know if she's here, for gently nudging me here off stage. And yeah, let's dive in. So I come from Open Innovation and Science Center at Aarhus University. My name is Stine, and I have a background as a lawyer, and I worked in Annetta's department for 7-8-ish years. And in August, I switched to Open Innovation and Science. We are actually, I'm glad you mentioned knowledge valorization and your guiding principles. We are actually, from 2023, a best practice of knowledge valorization appointed project. That was Odin. I'll come back to that. We're not quite sure what it means, but perhaps you can help us later on. For now, it means a lot of roundtables and discussions in Brazil for my boss. But we have yet to quite know the full impact of that appointment. Okay, so why are we talking about open innovation in science? What's the issues? You all know these great Vikic problems that we wake up to and see on our phone every morning. They have the climate crisis, we have uneven distributed access to medicine, we have a transition to a more sustainable diet. We have our EU competition powers you mentioned with Draghi and Letter that we followed intensely. And those are complex issues, and we're not providing a solution to all of them, but we are focusing in on researcher industry engagement and seeing if we together in a collaborative way can bring parties across sectors, across industries, across maybe even non-obvious partners to work together in a novel way to help solve some of those crises. Actually, our project as a bottom-up initiative started with this very intense and determined researcher who wanted to work together with industry, but he didn't want to engage too much with the legal issues. So he wanted to engage with them without contracts and without NDAs, and preferably without reporting inventions. So that was actually the very beginning of our projects, and I'm not sure what he would say, being brought up as a best example for knowledge valorization at a KT conference, but here we are. But that's some of the comments we get from researchers. Yes, we of course want to solve some of the real world problems. However, it's hard to get access to the industry challenges, and it's hard to find other partners than the ones we know. We're circling we're doing what we're used to do, and we want to avoid legal negotiations. And industry can meet that and say, yeah, we want to avoid legal negotiation as well, and it could be nice if the university have developed their inventions, discoveries up until TRL level 6 or 8, and then we can move forward with commercialization and develop products. But we find a knowledge gap in the lower TRLs, where there's not always enough knowledge for them to develop those higher TRLs. So that's what our call to action is, that we propose and drive, facilitate an open platform that's open in both who we invite in and collaborate with us, and facilitate that, that collaboration. But also open in how the project works, and open in how they disseminate their results. So all results and data must be openly shared with the public, and there's a ban on restrictive IP. So you have to share your data results, but without patent. And that's possible because the projects are pre-competitive. So they work in a pre-competitive setting. We share our knowledge, and we give universal user rights to all results and data derived from the projects. We provide ease of collaborations, and we do that in close collaboration with TTOs and BDs from all of our partnering universities. So that's a huge part of the project. I think in the beginning of this project, it was very much a risk for the universities, and the legal departments helped de-risk that, and that's part of the reason why it's possible at all. So the TTOs, they took a leap of faith with these projects, and they assigned some risk to the project, and we of course appreciate that, because we wouldn't stand here if they didn't. So we invite researchers and industry into an open platform, and we have matchmaking sessions and ideation events, and we have pitch sessions and try to engage different sides of industry with each other, and also researchers. And when their ideas transform into projects that they would like to perform, they go together and write up an application for us, and we host, facilitate the management bodies that review. We have review committees, we have specialist reviewers, and steering groups making decisions about these projects, both including industry and the partner universities. Once the project's granted, and you can see that they're happy and conducting research together up here, then all data and knowledge is shared openly, and anyone can use them. So they can go to each side and say, thank you for the collaboration, I will go on and use this data for myself. Or they can perform, now it's not working again. But over here, they can also go into traditional research projects together and further develop with higher TRL levels their research results. Okay, and the ease of collaboration comes from, besides the matchmaking part and helping them form projects, it comes from pre-negotiated standard agreement. So once the platform is initiated, because TTO and Open Innovation in Science, all the partner universities, they negotiate with the core partners of industry, and they reach to a standard agreement, which is used throughout the project. And we get sometimes companies that would like something changed, and we are very firm on that we are not doing that. But it's a way of de-risking also for the smaller companies. We have approximately 50-50 division between large companies and smaller companies as well. So it seems to work. Okay, so we have the 2 projects, and they are pioneeringly funded by the Novo Nordisk Foundation. And when I write pioneeringly, it's intentionally, because it was a leap of faith for the foundation as well, once they started to fund these Open Innovation in Science projects. They started with the first pilot of the Open Discovery Innovation Network with a funding of 7.3 million euros. And because that was a pilot, it was there we started, we have some results from that. It's very hard, and something that we discuss very intensely, both among ourselves and with our partners and with the participant companies and researchers, but also with the foundation. It's hard to measure pre-competitive research projects' impact, because the impact could come in 10 years or 15 years. But of course we have some indicators and some way of assessing if we're moving in the right direction. And some of those is that for the pilot project, it funded 11 projects, and we had 44 participating companies. We're proud of that. And they have received now 5.9 million euros in follow-on grant. So there's been this perception of the pilot being an investment, and they are gearing that funding in a more traditional research project. So it also has effect on the sciences being developed after the project, and that's of course what we want to see, and with engagement of industry partners as well. Okay. So after that, Odin was granted 44 million and extended for 5 years, and together with 5 universities. Plant to Food is the sister platform, and focused on sustainable food system. So we all need to eat more plants, and this is the science behind it. How can we make legumes and beans, and how can we deduct protein from potatoes and make it taste well? They're looking into that, and they're crossing the whole very complex value chain. It has been running for 2 years with 3 call rounds, and we have plus 140 participating companies alongside with 5 university partners, one of them being Wageningen, so also this international, we're dipping the toe in an international approach. We want to see more of that. Yes. Okay, so what's the next step? Can we just continue to develop these standalone platforms within a scientific field? We're being tested on that, and also the geopolitical climate is changing. EU competition power is in decline. We need to do something else. So we are looking into seeing how we can combine and actually see OIS platforms as an accelerator that can be linked to existing partnerships or existing infrastructures. we're also looking into seeing if we can combine different bodies of funding to increase impact of the investments. And finally, we have these tailor-fitted OAS models to address market failure. That's where the incentives on the market is not strong enough to have commercial entities develop. The most known example is the vaccine for malaria. There's not an economic incentive to develop that. Can we use OIS in some form to help incentivize that process? Okay, I can see it's probably not so easy to read. The model illustrates in phase 1 the OIX accelerator, as I've just outlined here what contains. So we have these building of trusting collaborations, including non-obvious partners. We have ease of collaboration. We have this pre-competitive space. So we were wondering, and it's also a question to you, would it be possible to combine that with a phase 2 kind of cluster model where we take this pre-competitive and all the good that OAS does and move over to a more close setting where the partners form more mission-driven research projects and can close some IP, and maybe we could talk of ease of utilization. So that's my question to you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Stine. Please have a seat. Stine. And next up is Smiljka Vikic-Topic, Senior Advisor to the RISE Corporation, or RISE Limited in Croatia, and company, yeah. And she's been also member of the EU committee at the SDP for 4 years now. So.
Okay. Now it will be something totally different, because I'm coming from Croatia, EU 13 country, lagging behind, nothing comparable to this. I will say a few words about our examples, but first let me introduce myself. I'm, as you can see, a long-term worker, working only for more than 40 years now. So I have a huge experience. It was from molecular biology and labs towards pharma industry and contract research organization, and seeing how technology transfer in Croatia is not implemented at all. So it was my dream job to move to university and to School of Medicine and to establish the technology transfer office. And I thought that this is a dream job for life, for the rest of my career, and that they don't have to pay me at all because it's so great, you know, you will establish the office and everything. However, then we came to the obstacles, of course, but somehow we solved them through the participation in the European projects. And later on, I was offered through these collaborations to establish a company in Croatia. So as Jakub said, I don't know, our other panelists, that we are doing sometimes disruptive, that we have to consider our offices as a disruptive technology. So we are establishing and trying to do something new and something. So that's how I perceive all that I worked and throughout the career. So coming back to our topic and how we will implement the guiding principles and the codes of practice and everything in our everyday life, from our perspective, is a little bit different. Actually, I see it as an opportunity for our researchers, because usually they always complained. They were very, very hesitant to get involved in technology transfer, to do something about that. And then I realized that I will never succeed in implementing technology transfer as a way of working in the whole institution, but I will have to select, as I call them, champions, and made my small world around myself, and I really liked my job. And then I succeeded to go to NIH to train myself to Edinburgh, and there is my mentor, Amy from Edinburgh BioQuarter, because it was the only opportunity that you learn and see how the others are doing it, and try to implement that here. So now we have a new pressure on intermediaries, on TTOs to perform better, to do more commercialization, as we see, putting more fund in commercialization, competitiveness fund, EIC, and so on. On the other hand, we have to look at it broader on the assets, so on this societal component, and I think that's actually the opportunity for us, as I mentioned, for these researchers that do not like to earn money from the research, because they are, in my case, it was School of Medicine. They said that we are medical doctors and we are not interested in this. We are saving lives. However, working in pharma industry for 14 years, my boss said that we are saving many more lives from pharma industry, not only one or two, one by one, but if you discover the medicine, then you are saving many more lives. So that was really interesting. So how to get ready? As I mentioned already, capacity building and skills development, that's something that in 2009, when I moved to university, was not that easy to get. So we had to get money, funding, going, and so on. Now, everything is actually almost given. You can just, go to the webinars and learn a lot. And then, exploitation of technologies, but having in mind always societal component is something that we are actually doing now from my company life. And I also forgot to mention that not only that I'm 4 years in the EU committee, but it's my 10th anniversary being a ASTP member. So I'm actually also celebrating that, and I was also a board member, so I passed all the I was also a NAC member, because when I enrolled, Croatia didn't have many TT offices, but I was there and doing nothing. And I said, what is the meeting there? And they said, it's a NAC meeting. And it's networks of TTOs in the countries. And I said, can I join? And then, of course, so I became a NAC member. By the way, Croatia still doesn't have a network, but we call it informal network. So the support that I mentioned, which I think it's really important and very good to use, is European IP Help Desk, which is led by URISC, our sister company, and RISE is part of it. You can use webinars and so on. I will say a few words later on. Horizon Booster, where also the results, so as a help for TT offices, like add-on, is something where you can ask questions, and also they provide help in exploitation and so on to give you advices on that. IM4A is already mentioned today twice by Laura, and also my colleague Lucia presented the project led by Meta. However, it's a great opportunity to go for trainings in knowledge valorization, but also standardization, which is very new for our offices and for our professionals. We have to learn about standardization as well, because there is a code of practice on that. Impact licensing initiative was also presented yesterday. Is it yesterday? It looks like long ago, but it was only yesterday, as a new approach of using repurposing technologies and finding for them a new use in, for example, disadvantaged countries like Africa and so on. So the deal is that some investors for free upgrade your technology for the use in this, let's say, lagging behind environments, and then bring back these additions, these improvements in technology, so that the owners of technology actually have also some return on that giving away, let's say, their technologies by a special license that we are developing through the projects, and it's already underway. But I will not repeat too much, because you heard about it, whoever wanted. If not, go to our web page and check. And also on the same call, before our project was funded Impact 3 TIP that develops different tools for technology transfer to help them in drafting licensing for specific cases that are not that easy to draft. You can talk to Lisa, who is up there, if you wish to learn more about that. So European IP Help Desk, as I already mentioned, provides webinars and has a website helpline. You can ask questions, and I'm sure you probably all know about that. However, it's always good to repeat that it is there, because we have the feeling that sometimes people forget it's somewhere there. Another thing, it's Booster that I already mentioned, that you can ask also questions and get a mentor expert who will help you in the use of your technologies. It's these two, European IP Help Desk and the Booster, are actually European Commission services, which are for free for the users, while the rest of the projects I mentioned are Horizon Europe projects that are have a certain time and will provide also trainings and skills development, capacity building for the rest. So two examples of that we as a company, RISE, are participating in projects, and they are really using or implementing, let's say, codes of practice on citizens engagement and knowledge valorization. It's a sustainable transition of European rural areas. So we are actually working with the rural regions. It's led by University of Bologna, and we are partners. There are many places in Europe where rural communities are usually not using digitalization and so on, but this project is coming to that areas and trying to make them more interesting for living and to make a better life, let's say, and to bring people back to this rural areas. So these are smart solutions, digital and technological, technical, and so on, leaving no one behind. So it's co-creation. They first analyze the needs of the communities and then implement and monitor how they are using it. And it's about knowledge and capacity sharing. And yeah, I have another slide on that, but slides will be shared so you can read what is that all about. It's about these dynamos, like hubs in these areas that will assess their needs and the project will bring them possibility to use and it's all going through innovations with the new ideas, knowledge sharing, knowledge valorization, and so on, not only it's a scientific or research approach to these problems. And the Voice project is also interesting because they are putting artists into the community for technology, like art technology society interactions, to solve the technological climate, any other problems. So artists are involved in, for the environmental purposes, talking about making parks more interesting so that people go there, also in rural areas to do and to implement some, with their ideas, to implement some technological improvements. We're translating technological improvements in a way like artists would do and bringing them closer to the society. So that will be all from my side. There is a lot others to share, but we'll discuss it, I think, right?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Smiljka. And last but not least, our third speaker is Jakub Jasiczak. And get this because it's going to be long. He's the president of the Polish Association of University Knowledge Transfer Companies. Jakub, floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi guys, I'm going to show you 40 challenges from 8 big European corporations, and there will be a QR code at the end, so this is the moment to check how the QR code and screening it works in your telephone, so you can use it. So I'm saying it in advance. Okay, we agreed on 3 slides, so I will tell you today about our approach, Polish Tech Transfer Community, to bridging Western European corporations with Central European science to do more, to do better, not to be only the production side of Western European corporations, but to realize that we have clever people, innovators, students, scientists, and we can do more, made in EU. And we did it before Marco Draghi told us to do so. That's the fun part. By the way, short comment, SPVs, what is the difference? In Poland, we have two types of entities in the tech transfer community. TTOs, technology transfer offices, usually internal units doing everything what is inside. SPVs, special purpose vehicles, owned by universities, 100% shares. We are like a business arm. And 34 biggest universities have their own SPVs. And we do two things. We create spin-offs, and we do something that law didn't written this, exactly. We go to big business, small business, cities, and convince them, inspire them for new projects with our scientists. Because normally if you go to business and say, what do you want from science? Cheap labor, students. Okay, we have some other ideas for you. So this is our job, basically. And we did, as an association, 3,500 projects for 2,000 companies and created 241 spin-offs. So this is the effective part in our ecosystem. It works quite cool. Okay, so what is the problem? I was driving here from Warsaw by car, so I had 5 hours of talking with ChatGPT. It was fruitful, and one of the tasks I gave him, it was to draw me this picture. I was complaining to him, and this is what he wrote me. So what is the problem? You already know that Marco Draghi wrote the report and that Europe is not cooperating well and that we are losing this fight with China, now with Trump. So are we screwed, or are we going to change something? Well, for last 10 years, as SPVs, we've been traveling around Europe to companies abroad, like, cheap flights, flying there, board meeting, cities, whatever, and convincing them that we can do together, create cool innovations, like Baltic Sea region innovations for seniors. And for example, that was the true case, 2022, our innovators created innovative shopping bag with electric engine for seniors. We've been testing it among seniors in Norway in 5 cities. We've been shopping with them, creating the prototype, testing, it was perfect. And then we reached 12 Norwegian-based companies with everything was ready, like the prototype tested, co-created with their own seniors, with the business model to every 12 companies separately, typically for their business model. And what was the reaction? Well, we called it smiled bubble, and ChatGPT makes a smiled jar, but the concept is the same. So all these companies, they were very friendly, but they had zero idea what to do with us. I mean, plumber from Poland, cool, but innovators with ready product that suits our product portfolio, we have no idea what to do with you. And it was like, okay, but you can test it, you can ask us questions, you can make some analysis, and they say yes, no, give us a feedback. No, we don't know what to do. And this is very typical. Whenever we go as Polish tech transfer with ideas, concepts, prototypes to companies in Sweden, in Germany, and so on, there is no process for evaluating that, okay, cool scientists and cool projects can be from outside of their own country. And now the tricky part, because of COVID and because of war, many European companies that have production in Poland did what with R&D? What do you mean? What do you think? They moved it back to their home country. And for example, we create innovations for the police. We open this ecosystem. We build Praetorian space ecosystem to co-create with Polish officers innovations and implement them. And one of our solutions, police from 7 European countries is interested. We were trying to reach the HQ in Hanover, CEO of innovations for Volkswagen. There was zero chance he will listen to me. I had this idea, this impression that if I were a German, he would listen to me, but since I'm from Poland, there is no way we can have some R&D together. When we go to companies with factories in Poland and say, guys, we have cool ideas from Polish science, can we work? Can you convince HQ to co-create them? You know what is the reply from the side of Polish factories? They do not listen even us. So they moved back R&D, and that's it. It's only a production. We do not co-create innovations. So this is my problem with how we cooperate in Europe. We just sell to each other products. And I will tell you about the experience for what we did for last year. We contacted with 37 European-based corporations, not EU, US, not China capital, only EU money. Out of 34 companies with good production and presence in Poland, we were trying to convince those companies to co-create innovations with us so that we can create agendas and deliver them solutions, create them together. guess how many of these 34 European-based companies decided and went out from this comfort zone with us and convinced HQ in the home country to do something more with Central Europe scientists? From 34, how many? I told you this number. No, not 0. I wouldn't be here. I would be still drinking. 8. So it's not bad. But the fun part is we had contact trying to collaborate with 10 embassies, foreign embassies in Poland, not Polish abroad, but foreign embassies in Poland. And we were trying to convince these guys that we have an effective tech transfer ecosystem in Poland. We can invite our friends from Czechia, Slovakia, Baltic countries, and we can co-create innovations for their companies. There were some embassies that were friendly, but again, the same process. We don't know what to do with you because we have only process of helping our companies to sell products in Poland. We don't have a process to help you create innovations for our companies. They have their own R&D, they have their own scientists in their country. So again, okay, can we cooperate, co-create innovations in Europe, made in EU, better than Chinese, better than US? By the way, the most helpful out of 10 embassies was the Swiss one. So EU innovate together for an embassy that is not in EU. So that's a fun fact. So I already told you that we convinced 8 companies. And we prepared, it was 1 week ago in Warsaw, a round table meeting. We had 90 minutes with 25 people. It was the delegates, board members of Polish divisions of those corporations from 8 countries, CTOs, R&D officers and so on, but board members. There were people from 3 ministries from Poland, and there was a tech transfer from Poland, Czechia, and Estonia. And you probably know this guy, he was sitting with us also, Michel, EIC. So he was like listening and then sum it up. So it was the milestone. We already did with them R&I, Research Innovation Cooperation agendas. So for last year, to sum up, we went to 34 big corporations saying that we can do more with Polish scientists and Central Europe scientists. We convinced 8. We did workshops with 8 those companies, created research agendas, and we did a round table that every side at the table declared we are serious in this, let's do it seriously. Even Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Polish Investment and Trade Agency said, we gonna help you. And now the best part, there was a representative of Conference of Rectors of academic universities from Poland. And he said, because we had a big conversation explaining what are we doing, he said 2 things. We see this project as a strategic one, so it's not just about some commission research and extra money for scientists. It's about inspiring new, meaningful, impactful research directions. And we understand and see the central role of tech transfer. We almost, collapsed at the table from chairs when we heard it from the Conference of Rectors, that they think tech transfer should play a central role at the university. Not at the end, but throughout the whole R&D process. At the stage of TRL 0, when our scientists are thinking what to do. By the way, I'm from Polish Academy of Science. I help my scientists from human genetics. Believe me, guys are writing thesis in basic research, but they know how to ask questions, and they come to me with tasks, check the market, ask the hospitals, ask the clinicists, ask big pharma, because we need feedback to make our proposal better. So this is like helping basic scientists by the tech transfer. Okay, and this is the result, and there will be a QR code to LinkedIn profile with those research agendas. So we have 8 corporations. They are ready to cooperate with us. It means this is not a shopping list. If you have TRL 9 cheaper than Germany, then we would be willing to buy. No, we understand it can be TRL 1, 2, 3. What's even more interesting, so I will move to this QR code. It will be easier for you to have it. So if you scan it, there is this PDF and LinkedIn, so it will be easier. And this is like an invitation to you. It's not like I'm showing off that we did something for Poland in Poland. No, we would like to solve these challenges together with you, with your scientists, with your help. So these companies understand that sometimes it's about TRL 0. And I heard a week ago in Warsaw, during this round table, I heard from big corporations something that I never heard for the last 15 years. For example, CTO of Orange said, we would like you, tech transfer, to co-create research teams mixing our scientists from our R&D department with your research scientists, and let's create those paths. Let's create those proposals from TRL 0. Let's find and define problems before you start to, solving the problem. So that's the attitude. And this is for the first time. You will say because of Trump and because of China. Okay, I don't mind, but still this is something new. This is a new quality of how we can cooperate with corporations. So if you look at these, we have two digital companies, Orange and Axel Springer. Axel Springer are biggest media in Poland. You have three tech companies, Veolia, ABB, and Kronospan, and you have three pharma, healthcare, so GSK, Roche, and Medicover. And the fun part is that companies that resisted this idea and they were too afraid, they didn't want to, take the risk. Now, when they saw that roundtable and they saw these companies that they join us, it's much easier to talk to them. Now, yesterday I had a meeting with IKEA, with Skanska, and they said, okay, this is interesting. You did a lot. Now, I think there is a bigger chance we will join. And how does it work? Because this is something for you. I mean, the proposal to join forces. Our people in tech transfer, 135 tech transfer units in Poland, got those research agendas, like a PDF file. They sent it to their own scientists saying, guys, look at it, this is interesting. This should be inspiring for you. There is a chance for commission research, for EU grants, for local money grants, from vivid ships, different kinds of money. We are talking about commission research, about spin-offs, about joint projects, then we can share IP and make some publications. Everything is possible here. And whenever the scientists will come back to, and this is something we tested already with big companies during last 10 years, so it's not like totally new. The process is new, but not the mechanism inside. When the scientists are coming back and they say, I am interested in number 6 from Orange, the TTO or SPV, they have insights from our workshops. So they have documents that behind every challenge from the list, there are details about the position of the company, attitudes, the way they are thinking about solutions, their suggestions to the road we could take, the timeline, everything. So TTO will work with scientists to prepare something for the meeting, because I really hate when, maybe you know this, when you give a challenge from the company to the scientist and you ask them, make a homework, be ready, prepare for the meeting with the company, show your suggestions, ask good questions. They usually don't. It's like, I will come, we will talk broadly, and the first question, can you tell me more about you? We cannot have this kind of meetings at EU Innovate Together. They must be well prepared, with perfect team, with good ideas, and go deeper with the company. So, after having this meeting with scientists and TTO, they will declare it in our common Excel spread, Google Docs, that we are ready to take this challenge number 1 from Veolia, let's say. And they, in the same document, they are writing that they are missing, for example, people from AI. So the magic happens when we're going to mix people from economic universities, medical universities, technical universities, and this document will help us. We know each other and trust each other in tech transfer. As I told you, we had like 3,500 projects, so we really know how to let go our ideas and leads and how to share them, not to fight for money. We trust each other in Poland, so it works quite cool. And then we're going to come back to those companies, listen to them, there will be like NDA agreements, and then we start to launch those projects. And just to sum up, I really would like to show to these companies that this is not only about Polish science, so that's why I went last week to Riga. I said it to the ecosystem in Latvia. Now I have this opportunity here. So if you would like to get this feedback from the companies and write that your scientists are willing to solve the problem or co-create it with us, it will really help me convincing more and more companies that treated Central and Eastern Europe only as factories, not as a real place to co-create innovations. And if you ask me, then this is last statement, are you competing with our own scientists from Western Europe? Listen, big companies, they won't let go their core R&D. If we talk with Roche or GSK, they will not us do drug discovery. They have it in their mother countries. But like AI, IT solutions, this is open. So it's always a discussion with the company, not let us in your core R&D. It is about treat us as a out-of-the-box creative thinking R&D center. You don't need to build buildings, you don't need to hire scientists. They trust us, we have them in our network. Let's co-create non-core innovations together. So basically that's the concept. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jakub. And sorry, I'm just going to change. Do you want me to leave it up there? So you can...
No, switch. I don't want to monopolize this.
And I promised our speakers that even though we prepared a bit, we're going to improvise a bit as well. And because it's a bit hot in this room, and I have to excuse ourselves, it's just the AC is not efficient enough. And there's a momentum already. Do we have any immediate questions? Because then we can let the audience come in straight away. No, not yet? Okay. So, love the energy, Jakub. And it comes across very nice. And congratulations on being able to pull this through and bring all those companies together. But besides your energy, what do you think were the key factors that made it happen?
Key factors that
made it happen.
Made it happen.
Yes.
Well, we are stubborn. By the way, when my friend looked at this project, because there was a big conference and we had those stands with those challenges, and his question was, what was the budget for the project? Because I would easily take like 2 million euro from EU money, and my reply was 0. We did it like with our own private money, investing this year in talking with those companies. It's like, Jesus, you're so stupid. So yeah, this is like, you know, people in tech transfer in Poland, they really, first of all, we really love and believe in our scientists. And we have this feeling that 80%, I apologize, is it recording? 80% of scientists in Poland are not doing a good job. I mean, they could do more and better, but the system doesn't, you know, it doesn't do nothing for them, actually. One time I went to a scientist, a professor, and said, Professor, we have a cool idea, there's a challenge, there's a big company and everything. And he told me, listen, whatever you bring, you are distracting me from what is most important in science, which means promotion. And it was like, okay. So first of all, we really believe in scientists. We know they can get a better value and they can do impact because we did those projects and we know how creative they can be. And I think that now in Poland, at least, there is this, at least some ministries, they are really listening to us. For last 8 years, we have like populist government, they didn't. They broke our necks in science, but now it is much better. So to sum up, for these 10 years, we really know each other in tech transfer, and we know how to cooperate. We don't compete in a stupid way. And we really built trust with our scientists and found a language with the business so that the guys really feel that we are from their world, not from universities. So I don't have this, you know, this feeling when we talk with big business, okay, but are you going to do basic research for 10 years with no results? They don't have this fear. They are really, they believe us that it will be effective and that we will deliver this.
Thank you. And so you mentioned that you're not competing, but I'm turning to Smiljka. And Jakub, you also mentioned that, are we competing with Western Europe? And if yes, what it is that we're still missing in widening countries? Because I represent Malta and I could tell you for hours about it, what we're missing. But we saw all the help that's coming from the European Commission, and you have good professionals in Croatia. What do you think is missing? And I'm purposely not asking about you to put a number to the good scientists and the bad scientists.
I think we are lacking the system. We are always relying on enthusiasts in all aspects, so on scientists, on technology transfer professionals, especially on the boards of the institutions, the universities and so on. They are quite non-supportive. I don't know whether it's only lack of knowledge or not willing to learn about technology transfer, but I always had a feeling in the university that I'm fighting with someone. And But then, as I said, you round yourself with the people who are willing to break the walls, actually, to go to the European projects when it was totally not imaginable for us. We were not even the member of the European Union at the time when we had the first coordinating Horizon project at the faculty. So there are people who would succeed anywhere in the world. What I would like to see, that we have a system that supports also not average people, but those who are not that big fighters, that are not ready to break the rules and the walls and everything and go for success. So that would be really, really helpful, plus budget. So when I started and asked my friend who was living in the States, how can I start this technology transfer? I really would like to do it. And first question was, what is your budget? And I said, I have my salary and I don't have any budget. She said, when you will have budget, come back to me, because there is nothing without budget. The same thing said Jürgen, our former board member, or still board member, where is he? Jürgen Jussens from Antwerpen. He also said that without the budget, you cannot do anything. However, we are struggling and doing some things, but nothing comparable to the budget of Odin, for example, or your institution, or BioQuarter. I also remember showing our projects and the budgets. So these are big, big gaps. Organization, system, budget, funding of the basic research that will produce some meaningful results that can be transferred. These are our main challenges. But just to finish positive, things are changing, and there are many more opportunities now for the intermediaries, for technology transfer offices, for capacity building, also for the research. Infrastructure is coming through the structural funds, so the things are moving. Yeah.
It's good to hear. And I believe, Stine, I'm turning to you. I believe in Denmark you are in a better position. You have the system, you have funding. When you put the open innovation in science in place, what were the challenges, if you had any at all? I hope you had.
I think yeah. Well, first of all, I think there's a few nuances in that. No doubt that we are fortunate that we have a lot of liberal foundations that support science, Novo Nordisk Foundation being the biggest one, obviously. So that aside, open innovation in science at Aarhus University started as a project for students within material science, without funding at all, and with this very much this sense of people being, this is new and risky and doesn't at all fit the incentive structure for going from associate professor to professor, and where can I put it? And my reports in open journals, how is that compared to a Nature article, a flagship publication elsewhere? So why should we do it? So they started proving the concepts, very much as you mentioned, Jakub, with building relations and building trust, and actually having competitors in the same room saying, okay, we can work together on this because this is not our, we're not in a competitive space yet. There's this anecdote about Vestas and Siemens being at the same room discussing, do we need an NDA and how can we proceed with this? And I'm just asking, is it possible for you guys to work together on this? And yes, we can, because solar cells, that's the enemy, and windmills, we can agree on that in a pre-competitive setting. So yes, we're fortunate, no doubt about that. But even though it started as a bottom-up project, yeah.
Yes, so it seems that scientists and researchers are more or less the same all over Europe. And the guiding principles also mention collaboration and co-creation and bringing all R&I actors together, right? And Jakub, you mentioned very big numbers, 100 and something TTOs, 34 companies, and so on and so on. How do you do the stakeholder management? Because every person is different, every sector is different.
Okay, so first of all, the difference between TTOs and SPVs, and this is totally not a critique towards TTOs, it's just the way we perceive it, is that in SPVs we have success fee. So if we do it right, we can get us bigger money. So it's, you know, we are that active. And second thing, we don't need to, and this is thank you to TTO, because they do everything what is inside university, but we are still active in the field. So we spend zero time at our universities or research institutes. We are constantly there with companies, with NGOs, with cities, talking to them, listening to them, and so on. But one important thing, and this is like maybe a tip for you, at least from the Central Eastern countries, that we learned like 3 years ago that we need to be active in relation with ministries, that we cannot be passive. We cannot wait for them to come out with ideas because they won't. So we go there not to complain, not to ask for something, we just come with solutions. And the best way is to give to somebody from the ministry the solution in that way that he thinks, after meeting you, that this is his solution. So this is the best way to talk with public administration. And we have like 3 streams now. We work with Ministry of Finance, so the big brother of the rest of ministries, so it's really important to have contact with them. And for example, we have initiative about creating deep tech, private deep tech investors in Poland, because we don't have them. We have like rich Poles that would like to invest in another application, some integrators, whatever, but not deep tech from science. And now we are raising this bar. We are showing, come on investors, private investors from Poland, we are ready. We will be better, we are getting better every month, every year. So now we are ready for you to invest in our deep tech from science. We work with Ministry of Higher Education, and I need to tell you one thing, because we call it, maybe it'd be useful for you, the way we work with Ministry of Science. We are convincing them for something that is called Project 1%. This 1% is the ratio of public money the university gets for R&D to revenue from selling research results. We have in Poland universities that get like 100 million euro yearly for R&D, and they sell research results for 100 euro. So the percentage is like 0 and less 0.1%. And why we call it Project 1%? Because we are convincing Ministry of Finance and Higher Education, whenever the rectors of universities will come to get more money, your reply should be, but show me your Project 1% goal. How are you going to reach this? And after hearing this, the rector will come directly to you, tech transfer, and say, okay, do something. We need to rearrange the way we are managing research projects, we are choosing proposals, what is our strategic direction of our university, how to have this 1% of outcomes from, not for services, from infrastructure, but from selling research results, implementing them on the market. So we, as I asked the first question at the beginning of the day, we are not at the end of the process, we are at the beginning of the process. And last but not least, we cooperate with Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and we are convincing them for science diplomacy, because in Poland we don't have science diplomacy. We have only economic diplomacy. And if you look at EIC, EIT, whatever, we are not there, like Polish science is almost not present there in EIC projects. We don't have this PR of Polish science, of doable, of clever people, smart, that we can deliver from science. And what we are convincing Ministry of Foreign Affairs is that we should do this science diplomacy together as Central European countries. So like showing what we can do in Central Europe to the Western Europe, to Asia, to Africa, to US, but together. So to sum up, providing solutions ready to implement and showing that we are willing to help them pro bono and we are with them and this is in their favor, it's not for them additional job, oh Jesus, the guys from TTO are coming. No, it's like we know how to help you and it will be an effective process. So this is, from my perspective, this is a new role of the tech transfer. We cannot be passive. We cannot wait for our scientists. You know, I am not Columbia. I don't have 6,000 scientists. Even if 30% are doing something, I don't have 30, 40 people in tech transfer. I cannot afford to patent everything and do a perfect marketing. We are in totally different set. We have like 500 scientists, 10% are doing something, but the potential is bigger, so we must be active. We must like inspire these guys and take them out of these basements and say, this is a challenge for you. You will become a better scientist and practitioner, and your students will respect you because you have your own products on the market. You are not reading the books. You know, the times has changed. So this is the role of tech transfer.
So you're saying that it's important to make a connection with the ministry, right? Smiljka, how realistic is it in Croatia, in the Croatian ecosystem, to actually make connection with the ministry? And how can they incentivize then scientists to do better? And can KTOs and TTOs be proactive in Croatia?
And that's really a difficult question for Croatia. We have quite a good relationship with the ministries, and I think that ministry would like to do more. However, our main obstacles are managements of the institutions, of the universities, deans, rectors, and so on. They, as I said, they are not so supportive. So we are actually, as a TTOs, should go to the scientists and actually pursue them to do more. They are pushed now by some projects, some fundings that ask them to patent, to commercialize, to make licensing, which is really good. And as I said, the environment is changing a little bit. However, it still relies on enthusiasts among our system and on them to do technology transfer. It's a little bit better in technical faculties like civil engineering and electronical engineering. They are per se, by definition, going to the market and to use. For life sciences, it's not that easy, but it's changing.
Can I have a question?
Yeah, sure.
What are we missing in Poland? There was a project like 4 editions of it, and now there is the newest one, Incubator of Innovations, and it was a money for TTOs to increase the TRL levels. And the problem was that from EU money, we only have, from EU funds, we only have money to increase TRL of some solutions that are already there from science. And sometimes we do know that this is crap. Okay, we can spend this money, we can make this TRL from 4 to 5, but we already know nobody's waiting for those results. And whenever we ask the Ministry of Higher Education, do you have money to create supply in science? To co-create this kind of agendas, to build teams around them, to like inspire research directions. No, you must take this money, and this money is only to increase TRL of research results that you already have. This is so ineffective. Of course, we use this money in a good way to some extent, but we are missing money to inspire scientists and build teams. I don't understand why we don't have this kind of money from EU or even public from Polish government. Do you have this kind of money in Croatia?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so? You do? I'm moving.
No. We have some incubators for sure, but that's all really new. What I wanted to mention also that we have I missed my thought now. Yeah, ask another question and then I'll remember.
Stine, you've been very quiet for the past 10 minutes, and I'm not blaming Jakub. I love the energy. But asking the same question to you, how realistic is it to actually form a connection with ministry, and did you involve ministries or the government in creating the OIS or any follow-up?
I think that our perspective is more European, based on the knowledge valorisation, best practice appointment, and also with the possibilities that is forming within Europe. And what we see is important that we come as one voice together with other Danish universities and all our partner universities and universities that are interested in exploring the concept. So we're very open in that regard, but it's not possible to, not effectful to come to Europe as one Danish university out of 7 or 8 or how many we are. It's not, it doesn't have effects. We need to be more, and we need to speak with one voice. And that's of course trying to incentivize that this is a real option, that we can help industry and researcher work together and learn how to work together and build trust in a pre-competitive safe space that can lead to accelerated impact and innovation further down the line.
Is this also an invitation to other universities and companies to join? Can they?
Definitely. We are, we're coming, well, as I mentioned, we're dipping the toe in the international waters and looking for new allies. So, yeah.
Can I ask you one question? How your rectors behaves? Because in Poland, it's frustrating for us that there is this selfishness mode, that the rector of one university goes to one company and he attracts the full attention of the company. So for this company, the world of science is this institute, this university, because the rector came and he like took it all. And it's you know, if you look at our EU Innovate Together, we talk as one tech transfer community, and we really need to convince our rectors stop to going to the ministry one and second and company one and second, only in the name of their university. How is it in Denmark? I mean, can you play in together this game on the level of rectors?
I cannot say for the level of rectors, but I can speak for our initiative, and it's extremely important for us that we are not an Aarhus University initiative. We are an initiative covering our partner universities and the industry that wants to engage with us within the platforms. That's the only way we can succeed. So it's way too small to be an Aarhus University. It's located, yes, and hosted, and that's the administration, but the actual combination and matchmaking, ideation processes and research projects are going on at our partner university together with our industry out there. So it's a divided project, and it must be. So for us, it's important that we cover as many partner projects as possible.
And
I remember what I wanted to say about the intermediaries, as Sylvia this morning mentioned how intermediaries are important and actually technology transfer professionals. It's really, I think it's all over Europe, the problem of, of them leaving the university in Croatia. That's a critical situation because we are small. And actually in our company, we are 4 of us came from the university. So the universities, and it's not a problem that we left to the private company. It's a problem that the institutions do not recognize the profession, the people, the quality, what they actually lost. They are just not aware of that, and that's what worries me, because without intermediaries, without support, we will do nothing. So we are losing this really important intermediary facilitators.
I can confirm that because it's the same in Malta. But Stine, you were nodding. Is it an agreement? Is the same in Denmark?
Yeah, to some degree. Yeah, I think that extra funding could be, could show significant results if used wisely.
Nice. So it seems that we at the end of the day, we're all having the same challenges. And I'm turning to the audience because we don't have much time left. If there are any questions, I'm happy to pass on the mic. Or maybe, yep.
Thanks. A quick question to Jakub, and by extension to you too. From your experience, from your frameworks and your successes, do you have any sort of templates, or particularly here about, for example, getting those challenges from the industry? How to do that? Is there anything you can share with us later on how to prepare, how to moderate that? And by extension, same question to your successes as well, and congrats.
Cool question, thank you. Two things. First of all, by doing those 3,500 projects, we know in what fields we are good and in what we suck. So we are not like faking to the company that in Poland we will do everything. So having this in mind, we created our own agent, AI agent for a tech transfer, and with those companies we had on board, like these all 34 but 8 that agreed as well. We took all PDF documents about their activity, reports annually and so on about what they are doing in Poland and globally. So in the PowerPoint presentation showing the EU Innovate initiative, we were able to show and inspire in what directions Polish science can be useful for them. So it was like a eye-opener that we have ideas for our own. This is not a completed closed list, but this is something we can start and build on. And it really helped us. That the company was like skeptical about this, but after reading this is interesting. Let's talk about this. And we always do so. Every meeting we have with company, the first thing we hear is how bad Polish science is because they have big experiences during last 20 years. We know precisely that's why we have SPVs to change this. So then it takes us like 2 minutes to make this grenade not explode. We know, okay, but challenge us, show us, tell us the market and ask about our experiences. And then we can easily convince the director of the CEO that we know what we are doing. And the second thing is the way we are able to help the company to be more innovative. One of these companies, I won't tell you which one, after doing these workshops with us, called to me and said, Jakub, this process showed us that we are not good enough in innovating with you. We are not ready as an organization. Can you help me? Can you, as a tech transfer, help me becoming more effective, like new processes, new people, new procedures inside? And tomorrow I am going to one of these companies and I have a one-day workshop with them showing how they can change their systems, the way their R&D director operates, the way they can build a sandbox for Polish science, the way we can test concepts and prototypes effectively. So to sum up, there is a bag of experience of working with big companies, and we can help companies. By the way, this is an extra stream of revenue, so we can put an invoice for the company for helping her, and thanks to this, we will get the funds to develop the EU Innovate Together initiative, not waiting just for ministry to give us public funds. We can earn money for developing the initiative using private money.
There's a big difference between Poland and Croatia, first in size. For the beginning. So we have actually the sporadic cases, more in this technical university faculties, as I already mentioned, that have a long-standing collaboration with the strong companies in Croatia, which are in IT business. In life sciences and pharma industry, our industry is mostly generic, so they are not that interested in working with the university. Previously, we had Pliva. The Pliva was inventor of azithromycin that you probably know about, the antibiotic that was at the time in the end of 80s, the breakthrough because it was taken once a day, 3 days in a row. So that was Pliva Inventions licensed to Pfizer. So Pliva got only 10%, and it's a long story that we knew. But we lived very nicely for 25 years or so on a patent, and then everything, of course, collapsed. They did try to invent the new proprietary compound, drug, whatever. It was many projects. I was at the research institute at the time, but nothing happened. So then it was acquired by GSK and so on and so on. Now it's this research institute remnants are CRO working with, I think, Polish company, Sylvita. So, the collaborations are depending on person to person, scientist to scientist, and it's not as systematic, and we do not have this support of networks of technology transfer offices, nor the support from the ministry to have that systematic collaboration. But we do have sporadic cases. And the professor that I was working with, he was actually doing it by himself. He's that kind of person. So he traveled to the States, to China, and so on, not only to Europe, because there is no industry in his field in Europe.
Another question.
Can I just comment on mostly Jakub's approach, because that was very interesting. I can see some similarities in our way of illuminating the industry challenges. It's very much matchmaking process and an ideation process where we host events and trying to get researchers and industry to share what's going on, how can we solve these problems together, and having them form partnerships that fall maybe outside of what they normally do. Besides that, we have a open marketplace where industry posts challenges together with researchers as well, and they can see each other's challenges, and they can write comments, and they can connect and link, and a lot of projects are actually formed that way. So they see each other's challenges and meet up at the event and say, oh, I saw you had a new approach to that. We normally resolve these issues through chemistry, but we're not happy with the solution. Okay, so a more approach from biomedicine that could be interesting, or maybe combined with physics. Seeing it from different sides and sourcing solutions from partners that they would not normally choose.
You inspired me to add one thing briefly. Among those 8 companies you saw, it was 3 types of approach to create those R&I agendas. First was but the top down. So there was like Veolia. They have their own R&D strategy, really good strategy. So what we did, we took with Director of Innovation from Veolia, we choose the best challenges from their own R&D agenda that will resonate among our scientists, and we changed the narrative to be more sexy to scientists and students. So it was like top down. Bottom up, in the medium, there was Orange. Orange, their own employees, we did a workshop with them, and when they heard that Polish science can swim, sail with them and help them in creating their own innovations, they really opened their heads, and they were inspired by this, and they created, with our help, those projects. And the last thing, bottom up, there was a company, Kronospan, that said at the beginning, our R&D is that simple as the product that we produce. But after doing workshop with us, they totally changed their attitude. It was like, wow, it can be this and that. For example, projects for students mixing fine arts universities with economic one. What can be new implementation of the board they are producing? For example, like this. So for them, it was totally novel way of looking at their R&D activity. So all those 3 types of working with companies, it was present during this process.
It's really inspiring to hear, and I think the one initiative that I know the best is open innovation in science, and I think one of the take-home messages, if you want to try something similar or do it yourself, I mean, this grew out of as Stine said, one academic who just thought, this is boring, it takes time, I don't want to spend the time filing patents, I don't want to disclose, I just want to be rid of it. And that led to an initiative. He met up with somebody who listened to him. It was a pilot that that had no funding. That meant that the companies were a little bit reluctant in the beginning to invest in it, so it ended up being the students. That led to an application to the Novo Nordisk Foundation that then grew, and along all of this came the talks with the companies on how to even do this. I think at one point we said, okay, we can write the contract on a post-it note. It was like that. It isn't, of course. But all of this is just, it's evolved so far now from where it started. And it's turned into this matchmaking, trust building, speed innovation engine that is just so great. And it's completely disrupting, or it has been seen as disrupting. I was asked by my technology transfer colleagues in the beginning, is this even legal? I mean, are you circumventing the Danish law on inventions? I was asked by the ministry at one point early on again, have you seen a decrease in the number of invention disclosures? So when I could produce the numbers as saying, no, in the time that we've done the pilot, we've actually seen an increase in invention disclosures. It's an add-on, it's not, we're not circumventing anything. So, I mean, and I think also from Jakub and all the projects that you're involved in, Smiljka, it's all trial and error. So I think, yeah.
Yeah, and if
Try
I can
crazy
just
stuff, you
comment
never know
on
where
that.
it's going to end up.
No, it's just that if I can leave you with one thought today, is that
I know in busy life of TTO and KT that we want to produce in order to help the scientists, but sometimes when these new, a little bit different, a little bit difficult, risky settings pop up, maybe not say no right away. Just hear us out.
And thank you for starting the final round of questions, because we're out of time. So I'm turning to Smiljka and Jakub. Do you have any final thoughts or takeaway messages or call to action to the audience? Smiljka, please.
Just trust in yourself and do whatever you can. You cannot change the world, but with the small steps, I think you can always do something, as we see from Jakub, and also from one idea from a scientist. So that always starts with one small idea and then develops to the big things. You never know when it will go.
My comment is that disruptive tech transfer, it was the suggestion to our panel discussion 1 month ago. We wanted to call it disruptive tech transfer. So my message is we should really, as a tech transfer, raise the bar to everybody, the ministries, the rector of universities and the business, but we need to start from ourselves, to raise the bar, not to be afraid of it, because nobody will if we won't.
Thank you. And my key takeaway is that you have to find those enthusiastic people who want to do something and join forces with them and go with them. And you'll find a lot of those people at this conference, and even feel free to approach our speakers tonight, tomorrow. And please thank you for joining, and please give a round of applause for our speakers.